It was a rough go for the Utah Utes at home in Salt Lake City. Gosh, we've been talking about that game for so long. I just really thought that Utah was going to come out on top. And instead, you in some ways get exposed and embarrassed. Because, yeah, Utah, going back to what we said in the first one, right? Like Utah did in some ways get exposed as a college football playoff contender. So then they can be a Big 12 contender. Once again, more impressed with Tech than disappointed in Utah. But you can't not be disappointed with exactly how things played out for Utah. The rest of the country is obviously very disappointed with Utah. We got big noon kickoff, the spotlight, and we stunk it up. So we fell out of the AP Top 25 poll from 16 to unranked. Is this fair? It is. I mean, it was 34-10. I can't debate that. The defense was closer. I still think at the end of the year, we'll think it's more good Tech than bad Utah. But the fact is, Utah's resume was not impressive going into that game. Yes, you won on the road, but it was arguably against the worst P4 team, and you blew them out, but so did New Mexico in their place. You beat Cal Poly, that's an FCS win, and you go up to Wyoming and get a victory, but it's like you did not look incredibly impressive in that one, and it's also, that's not a great Wyoming team. Like, yes, they also, Colorado also just beat them, so there's not a good win on Utah's schedule, so I can't be mad, and now they have a loss against the best team they played, and it wasn't a close loss, it was 34-10. So I can't be mad at Utah being unranked here. I think Utah will work their way back in the rankings. I think over the course of the season, what will play out is that was more good Texas Tech than bad Utah. But right now, I think it is a fair reaction to say, especially by the AP poll, I would still have Utah ranked, but I understand why people don't, and they don't feel like this is one of the 25 best teams. And through 4 weeks of the season, I think it's fair right now to say Utah is not a top 25 team. I think Utah will get there, but they have to earn and win some trust back with the disappointing performance, right? When you have an offense that struggles for so long and then a defense that does still fall apart late. I don't put too much on the defense. I think they just got worn down, but it still would have been nice if they could have tackled late and not had some of those mistakes that they did. So it's fair. You're going to get punished when you lose like that. And I don't have an issue with Utah falling all the way out, especially for some of these teams, right? Like TCU has been very impressive to begin the year. North Carolina is not very good, but you still go into their house and thump them. And I think that SMU win they had is a really good win. I like the Mustangs coming into this year. I think they're, with 2 losses now, clearly not a CFP contender again, but I still think it's one of the better teams in the ACC. They lost to Baylor and TCU. Those are 2 really good Big 12 teams. Honestly, right now, I think the Big 12 power rankings, right? You're going to go Texas Tech for me. Then it's Iowa State. Then I'd go TCU. And TCU maybe even has an argument to be better than Iowa State, what we've seen. I'm more impressed with TCU's win over SMU than I am Iowa State's win over Iowa. And Kansas State is not good right now. So I'm not going to be super impressed by that. So those are the clear top 3 right now. And then a Utah, a Baylor, and Arizona State. It was a good win for ASU to beat Baylor, right? All still in the mix there. And yes, I know I haven't mentioned one team, the BYU Cougars, who are ranked 25th in the country. I just see them play a good team before I say that they are a top 25 team. Like, they have beaten East Carolina this past weekend. Congrats on your victory. Once again, East Carolina. I know it's cross country. That's not a good team. That's what all we're talking about here is, have you beaten good teams? What's on your resume? And there is no debate that BYU is yet to beat a good team. Stanford is about as far as good as you can be. And yeah, 34-13. It's a good win over ECU, but it's not like it's an insane win. It's very similar, right, to what Utah did to Wyoming. Now, granted, you were up by more than Utah in the first half, but it's not just like, oh my gosh, this game is like, I'm trying to figure, like, it's not even in some ways. I mean, Utah beat UCLA by more, right? Now, granted, maybe ECU could beat UCLA with how bad they are, but like I said, to me, it's fair if Utah falls out of the top 25, and they'll just have opportunities to continue to climb their way back, right? Like, I'm okay with Illinois still being ranked. I don't love it, but at the same time, the Illini, it's one of those things where they had a semi decent win. They went down and they have a better win. That was what it was. They went to Duke and won. How am I going to be mad at you keeping that when you have a better road win, a much better road win, right? And yes, Duke did lose to Tulane, but they got a good win against NC State. They played Illinois close for a little bit, and then that one got a hand. So I'm okay with Illinois still being ranked. And they were also just ranked a little higher, right? Like Utah, I don't think, I'm trying to remember where they were in the receiving votes category. I still think they were one of the 5 to 10 best next in there. So that's where I'm not going to be all up in arms about that. You get the Notre Dames of the world, the USCs. I think Notre Dame's eventually going to follow this, but we'll wait and see on that. Missouri, Vandy, I think they'll fall out. The rest of Michigan probably falls out too, but the top 15, honestly, they'll look pretty good. And I am glad that Texas Tech moved up to 12. I think they are deserving of that. And I hope that sooner rather than later they get to be top 10, because Texas is just up there because of name recognition and the last name Manning. I'm way more impressed with Texas Tech than I am the Longhorns right now too. So, yeah, Utah's perception is hurt in this game because they did not perform up to standard and they didn't make it a close game, even though they were home. So, how does this impact them the rest of the season? Well, our friend of the show, Josh Furlong of KSL.com, looked up the Utes are now, Josh Furlong put out a tweet where he looked up a team rankings model, and the Utes are now projected to finish 8-4 on the season. If we look at their win projections, Utah, their highest win is 82% against Colorado. Next is the West Virginia one. They're favored 78. It's a 66% against Arizona State win probability. Only at 37% against BYU. That Utah defense has traveled so far. So I'll eat crow if I'm wrong. I'm looking forward to Utah seeing that true freshman quarterback, Bear Bachmeier, down in Provo. I would give Utah a lot more than a 37% chance to win against a BYU team that is yet to beat even a remotely good P4 team. They barely played a P4 team. That's how low I am on Stanford right now currently. Keeping it rolling from there. Cincinnati, you're 65%. I know Cincinnati's done some positive things, but it's just that Tech team is another level, I think. Like, I know they came in and beat Utah there, but I think the fact that it's only 66% for Arizona State and only 65% for Cincinnati to me is way off. Like, I just think they're overvaluing Cincinnati. 58% at Baylor, got no issue with that one. That's going to be, and Utah still being favored is nice because that's a really good Baylor team. It's a good offense. Utah's got to tackle better. They want to beat the Baylor Bears. 82% against Kansas State. I think that's a good call right now. We'll see if Kansas State, though, they could be this year's Kansas, where they're the ones that are slaying the Giants down the end of the season, right? And then you get Kansas 47%. I got no issue with that one either. I think a 9-3 season is absolutely in play for, and if you four losses in Big 12 play would be tough. And I don't see that, but I could absolutely see 3 more losses for this team. When we look at, to me, Arizona State, like just games that I don't see Utah losing to West Virginia. Obviously you can lose. It's college football. You can lose to anyone. We're going to talk about the Mountaineers more in a moment, but to me, West Virginia should absolutely be a win. Colorado and Cincinnati should absolutely be wins. And then Arizona State, BYU, Baylor, Kansas State, Kansas. Those are all games you could lose, with some of those being tougher than others. But this is still a good Utah team, I believe, and I believe they will find a way to come out on top. I just believe they're going to work their way back in the AP poll too. I'm just, once again, like, why should I be blown away by the Big 12? Oklahoma State, and I'm not trying to make, I shouldn't say that. The Big 12 right now, I'm not going to be blown away by the conference top to bottom is what I'm saying. There's some really good teams up top, but like Oklahoma State, man, they just lost to Tulsa last week. Like, woof. Who's the other one we got to? West Virginia just got blown out. Even Baylor still, like, they're a good team, but they have 2 losses now on the year. Like, I just don't feel like this conference is a very good competitive, even conference still. It is not some gauntlet that there's no way that the Utah Utes make it out of. That's not how I view the Big 12 currently. So I'm fine with Utah dropping out of the AP top 25 because they got to earn their way back in based on how poorly they performed. But first, today's episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by our friends at the Game Cap. With the Game Cap, quick question for all of you college football fans out there. If you could go back in time and sit in the front row at your school's biggest rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Yes, I said hat. I mean, for me, it would be the game, right? Those aren't just hats. They're the same vintage styles that fans wore back in the 80s and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same price they did back then. When you use code Locked On, that's all caps, no spaces, you will get a vintage hat for $16.99. That's right, $16.99. Think about how much hats go for today. You can head over to the game, use this promo code Locked On, and you'll get your vintage hat for $16.99. You can head to thegamecaps.com, thegamecaps.com right now. No caps in that promo, but as we said, the code Locked On College with caps. Grab your team's classic bar or retro classic design with that code, and get the exclusive discount because legends wear the game, and you can too. That's going to do it for our show. If you're in the market for a second listen, Locked On Big 12, Locked On Big 10, have you covered. Locked On College Football, lots of great choices at the Locked On Podcast Network. Heck, Locked On West Virginia. Mountaineer Paul, go hit him up and get ready for the game this Saturday. Utah may have lost, but the season and hope is far from over and out of reach. Cannot wait to continue to talk about the Utah Utes this week. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back to Kyle Whittingham's press conference and more. We'll see you on tomorrow's show.